Islam, one of the world's major religions, has a rich and profound history that spans over 14 centuries. From its origins in the deserts of the Arabian Peninsula to its influence across continents, Islam has shaped cultures, societies, and civilizations. This book aims to provide a comprehensive overview of Islam, delving into its core beliefs, historical development, cultural impact, and contemporary issues. Through exploring the life of the Prophet Muhammad, the revelations of the Quran, the expansion of the Islamic Empire, and the diverse practices of Muslim communities around the world, readers will gain a deeper understanding of this faith that guides over 1 billion people today. Chapter 1. The Life of the Prophet Muhammad. The life of the Prophet Muhammad is central to understanding the foundation and spread of Islam. Born in 570 CE in the bustling city of Mecca in the Arabian Peninsula, Muhammad ibn Abdullah came into a world rife with tribal divisions, polytheistic worship, and socio-economic disparities. Despite these challenges, his life and teachings would go on to unite a vast expanse of territories and people under the banner of Islam. Muhammad was born into the Quraysh tribe, a powerful and respected tribe in Mecca, known for its control over the Kaaba, the central shrine that attracted pilgrims from across the Arabian Peninsula. His father, Abdullah, died before he was born, and his mother, Amina, passed away when he was just 6 years old. Orphaned at a young age, Muhammad was taken in by his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, and later by his uncle, Abu Talib. These early years were marked by simplicity and hardship as he worked as a shepherd and later as a trader, earning a reputation for honesty and integrity, earning him the nickname Al-Amin, meaning the trustworthy. Muhammad's early adulthood was characterized by his involvement in trade, which took him to various parts of the Arabian Peninsula and beyond. His travels exposed him to diverse cultures and religious practices, shaping his perspectives and broadening his understanding of the world. At the age of 25, he entered the service of a wealthy widow named Khadija, managing her trading business. Impressed by his character and abilities, Khadija proposed marriage, and they were wed, marking the beginning of a profound and supportive partnership. Khadija's unwavering support and belief in Muhammad's mission played a crucial role in the early days of Islam. Despite his successful career and happy marriage, Muhammad often sought solitude and reflection. He would retreat to the cave of Hira on the outskirts of Mecca, where he spent long periods in contemplation and prayer. It was during one of these retreats, in the year 610 CE, that Muhammad experienced a profound spiritual event that would change his life and the course of history. According to Islamic tradition, the Archangel Gabriel appeared to him and delivered the first verses of what would later become the Quran, the holy book of Islam. This event, known as the Night of Power, Laylat al-Qadr, marked the beginning of Muhammad's prophethood. Initially, Muhammad was unsure of the nature of his experience and sought reassurance from Khadija and her cousin Waraka ibn Nawfal, a Christian monk who confirmed the divine nature of the revelation. With their support, Muhammad accepted his role as the messenger of Allah, tasked with delivering the message of monotheism and guiding humanity towards a moral and just life. Muhammad's early teachings emphasized the oneness of God, Allah, the importance of compassion and justice, and the need for social reform. He began preaching to his close family and friends, gradually expanding his audience as more people embraced his message. However, his call to abandon the traditional polytheistic beliefs and practices of Mecca met with fierce resistance from the Quraysh leaders, who saw his teachings as a threat to their power and economic interests. As Muhammad's following grew, so did the opposition. The early Muslims, known as the Sahaba, companions, faced persecution boycotts, and social ostracism. Despite these challenges, they remained steadfast in their faith, drawing strength from Muhammad's leadership and the revelations he received. In 615 CE, a group of Muslims sought refuge in Abyssinia, modern-day Ethiopia, where the Christian king offered them protection, demonstrating the early interfaith interactions and the universal appeal of Muhammad's message. The situation in Mecca continued to deteriorate, culminating in the deaths of Khadija and Abu Talib, two of Muhammad's strongest supporters, in 619 CE. This period, known as the Year of Sorrow, was marked by profound personal and communal loss. Seeking a safe haven for his followers, Muhammad began exploring opportunities outside of Mecca. In 622 CE, a turning point came when Muhammad received an invitation from the people of Yathrib, later known as Medina, to serve as a mediator in their tribal conflicts and lead the newly formed Muslim community. This migration, known as the Hijra, marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar and the establishment of the first Islamic state. In Medina, Muhammad's role evolved from a preacher to a statesman and military leader, guiding the community in spiritual, social, and political matters. The years in Medina were marked by a series of conflicts with the Quraysh of Mecca, as well as alliances and treaties with various tribes in the region. The Battle of Badr in 624 CE was a significant victory for the Muslims, boosting their morale and establishing Muhammad's reputation as a capable leader. However, the subsequent Battle of Uhud in 625 CE saw a setback, as the Muslims faced defeat and casualties. Despite these challenges, Muhammad's strategic acumen and diplomatic skills enabled him to navigate the complex political landscape. One of the defining moments of Muhammad's leadership was the Treaty of Hudaybiyah in 628 CE, a 10-year truce with the Quraysh that allowed for the peaceful practice of Islam and the performance of the pilgrimage to Mecca. This treaty demonstrated Muhammad's commitment to peace and negotiation, even with his adversaries. However, the truce was short-lived, as the Quraysh violated its terms, leading to the conquest of Mecca in 630 CE. Muhammad's entry into Mecca was marked by an unprecedented act of mercy, as he forgave his former persecutors and cleansed the Kaaba of its idols, re-establishing it as the central sanctuary of Islam. In the final years of his life, Muhammad continued to consolidate the Muslim community, sending emissaries to neighboring regions and establishing Islam as a major religious and political force. His farewell pilgrimage in 632 CE was a culmination of his mission, where he delivered his final sermon, emphasizing the principles of equality, justice, and the unity of the Muslim Ummah community. Muhammad passed away in 632 CE, leaving behind a legacy that transformed the Arabian Peninsula and set the foundations for the spread of Islam across the world. His life, marked by humility, perseverance, and profound spiritual insight, continues to inspire millions of Muslims and remains a pivotal chapter in the history of human civilization. The Quran, Islam's holy book, is considered the ultimate source of guidance for Muslims worldwide. Its revelation, structure, and significance are central to understanding the faith and practices of Islam. The Quran's origins trace back to the early 7th century, during the life of the Prophet Muhammad, and its impact continues to resonate in contemporary times. The Quran is believed by Muslims to be the literal word of God, Allah, revealed to the Prophet Muhammad over a period of 23 years, beginning in 610 CE. This revelation occurred through the angel Gabriel, who conveyed Allah's messages to Muhammad. The initial revelation took place in the cave of Hira, near Mecca, marking the beginning of Muhammad's prophethood. This momentous event, known as the Night of Power, Laylat al-Qadr, is commemorated during the last 10 days of the Islamic holy month of Ramadan. The Quran is unique in its structure and composition. It is divided into 114 chapters, known as surahs, which vary in length. Each surah is composed of verses called ayahs. The surahs are not arranged chronologically, but generally in order of decreasing length, with the longer surahs at the beginning and the shorter ones towards the end. The Quran is written in classical Arabic, a language revered for its eloquence and beauty, and it has been preserved in its original form since its revelation. The content of the Quran covers a wide range of topics, including theology, morality, law, guidance for personal conduct, and narratives of earlier prophets and communities. Central to its message is the concept of monotheism, the belief in the oneness of God. The Quran repeatedly emphasizes that there is no deity but Allah, and it calls upon humanity to worship Him alone. This fundamental principle is encapsulated in the declaration of faith, the Shahada. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is His messenger. The Quran also addresses ethical and moral conduct, urging believers to lead righteous lives. It outlines principles of justice, compassion, and charity, emphasizing the importance of helping those in need, speaking the truth, and acting with integrity. The Quranic teachings on social justice include directives to care for orphans, the poor, and the marginalized, highlighting the importance of community and social responsibility. In addition to ethical guidance, the Quran provides legal injunctions that form the basis of Islamic law, or Sharia. These legal instructions cover various aspects of life, including criminal justice, family law, inheritance, and business transactions. While the Quran lays down broad principles, the detailed application of these laws has been developed through the Hadith, sayings and actions of the Prophet Muhammad, and the scholarly tradition of Islamic jurisprudence. The Quranic narrative includes stories of earlier prophets, such as Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, who are considered part of the Islamic tradition. These stories serve as moral lessons and reinforce the continuity of God's message throughout human history. Each prophet is depicted as calling their people to monotheism and righteousness, facing opposition, and ultimately being vindicated by divine intervention. The Quran is not just a book of laws and stories. It is also a spiritual and devotional text. It is recited in daily prayers and other acts of worship, and its verses are memorized and revered by Muslims worldwide. The practice of reciting the Quran with proper pronunciation and intonation, known as tajweed, is considered an art form and a spiritual exercise. The beauty and rhythm of Quranic recitation have a profound impact on listeners, often evoking deep emotional and spiritual responses. One of the distinctive features of the Quran is its self-referential nature. It often describes itself as a book of guidance, a clear proof, a reminder, and a criterion between right and wrong. The Quran asserts its divine origin and challenges skeptics to produce a chapter comparable to its eloquence and wisdom. This challenge underscores the Quran's unique status in the eyes of Muslims as the inimitable Word of God. The compilation of the Quran into a single written text took place shortly after the death of the Prophet Muhammad. During his lifetime, the revelations were memorized by his companions and recorded on various materials, such as parchment, bones, and palm leaves. After Muhammad's death, the first caliph, Abu Bakr, initiated the compilation process to preserve the Quran in a standardized form. This effort was completed during the caliphate of Uthman ibn Affan, who ordered the production of several copies and their distribution to various regions of the Islamic Empire. The Quran's influence extends beyond religious and spiritual life. It has had a profound impact on Islamic art, literature, and culture. Its calligraphy is considered a high art form, adorning mosques, manuscripts, and various objects. Quranic themes and stories have inspired countless works of literature and poetry, and its ethical principles have shaped the moral and social fabric of Muslim societies. The Quran's significance is not limited to its textual content. It also serves as a unifying force for Muslims worldwide. Despite linguistic, cultural, and sectarian differences, Muslims are united by their reverence for the Quran. It is the common reference point for religious beliefs and practices, and its recitation in Arabic creates a sense of solidarity among the global Muslim community. In contemporary times, the Quran continues to be a source of guidance and inspiration. Muslims turn to its teachings to navigate the complexities of modern life, seeking answers to ethical dilemmas, social challenges, and personal struggles. The Quranic emphasis on knowledge and learning has also driven Muslims to pursue education and intellectual development, contributing to the rich tradition of Islamic scholarship. The Quran's enduring relevance is evident in the various ways it is engaged with by Muslims today. It is studied in religious schools, madrasas, and universities, interpreted by scholars in various fields, and discussed in public forums and media. The proliferation of digital and online resources has made the Quran more accessible, allowing Muslims to explore its meanings and interpretations more deeply. However, the interpretation of the Quran is not without controversy. Different schools of thought and sects within Islam have diverse understandings of certain verses and teachings. These differences have sometimes led to tensions and conflicts, highlighting the challenges of interpreting a sacred text in a diverse and changing world. Despite these challenges, the Quran remains the ultimate authority for Muslims, guiding their faith and actions. The Quran's message is universal, addressing all of humanity and calling for a return to the worship of one God and adherence to a moral and just life. Its teachings transcend time and place, offering wisdom and guidance that remain relevant across different eras and cultures. For Muslims, the Quran is not just a historical document but a living text that continues to speak to their hearts and minds, shaping their relationship with God and the world around them. The 5 pillars of Islam are the core beliefs and practices that every Muslim must follow. They form the foundation of a Muslim's faith and actions, serving as a guide for living a life in accordance with Islamic principles. These pillars are Shahada, faith, Salat, prayer, Zakat, charity, Psalm, fasting during Ramadan, and Hajj, pilgrimage to Mecca. Each pillar represents a unique aspect of worship and devotion, collectively fostering a holistic approach to spirituality and community. The first pillar, Shahada, is the declaration of faith and the most fundamental expression of Islamic beliefs. It states, "There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger." This simple yet profound statement affirms the monotheistic essence of Islam and acknowledges Muhammad as the final prophet in a long line of messengers sent by Allah. The Shahada is not merely a verbal affirmation, but a deep conviction that shapes a Muslim's worldview and actions. It underscores the importance of monotheism, rejecting any form of polytheism or idolatry. The declaration is often the first step in embracing Islam and is recited during various religious rituals and ceremonies, reinforcing the believer's commitment to the faith. The second pillar, Salat, involves the performance of 5 daily prayers at prescribed times: Fajr, dawn; Duhur, noon; Asr, afternoon; Maghrib, sunset; and Isha, night. These prayers are a direct link between the worshipper and Allah, providing regular intervals for reflection, gratitude, and supplication throughout the day. Each prayer consists of a series of movements and recitations, including verses from the Quran, which are performed facing the Kaaba in Mecca. The physical postures, such as standing, bowing, and prostrating, symbolize humility and submission to Allah. The discipline of maintaining this daily routine fosters spiritual mindfulness and reinforces a sense of community, as Muslims worldwide engage in these acts of worship simultaneously. Salat also includes the concept of communal prayer, particularly the Friday congregational prayer, Jumu'ah, held at mosques. This gathering not only serves as a time for spiritual enrichment, but also strengthens the bonds of brotherhood and solidarity among Muslims. The communal aspect of prayer emphasizes the collective responsibility of Muslims to support and care for one another, transcending individual differences and fostering unity. The third pillar, zakat, is the obligatory act of giving a portion of one's wealth to those in need. It is not merely an act of charity, but a form of social justice and economic redistribution mandated by Islamic law. The standard rate for zakat is typically 2.5% of a Muslim's accumulated wealth and savings, provided they meet the minimum threshold, known as nisab. This financial contribution is intended to purify one's wealth and soul, acknowledging that all possessions ultimately belong to Allah and are entrusted to humans as stewards. Zakat funds are distributed to specific categories of beneficiaries, including the poor, the needy, those in debt, and travelers in distress, as well as for the support of religious and educational institutions. By fulfilling this obligation, Muslims address economic inequalities and contribute to the welfare of society, ensuring that basic needs are met and dignity is preserved for all individuals. The practice of zakat fosters a sense of empathy and compassion, reminding believers of their interconnectedness and the importance of supporting one another. The fourth pillar, Saum, refers to the annual fast observed during the holy month of Ramadan, the 9th month of the Islamic lunar calendar. From dawn until sunset, Muslims abstain from food, drink, smoking, and marital relations, dedicating this time to heightened spiritual reflection, self-discipline, and acts of worship. The pre-dawn meal, suhoor, and the meal to break the fast, iftar, are significant aspects of the daily routine during Ramadan. Fasting during Ramadan commemorates the first revelation of the Quran to the Prophet Muhammad and serves as an exercise in empathy, allowing Muslims to experience the plight of the less fortunate. The fast is intended to purify the body and soul, strengthen one's faith, and cultivate virtues such as patience, humility, and gratitude. Ramadan is also a time for increased prayer, recitation of the Quran, and communal activities. The nightly Taraweeh prayers, performed in congregation at the mosque, and the special prayers during the last 10 nights of Ramadan, particularly on Laylat al-Qadr, the night of power, hold great significance. At the conclusion of Ramadan, Muslims celebrate Eid al-Fitr, a festive occasion marked by communal prayers, feasting, and giving of gifts. The spirit of generosity extends to the payment of Zakat al-Fitr, a special form of charity given to ensure that all members of the community can participate in the celebrations. Eid al-Fitr reinforces the themes of unity, gratitude, and compassion that define the fasting month. The fifth pillar, Hajj, is the pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca, which every Muslim who is physically and financially able must undertake at least once in their lifetime. Hajj occurs annually during the Islamic month of Dhu al-Hijjah and is one of the largest gatherings of humanity. The pilgrimage commemorates the actions of the Prophet Abraham and his family, particularly the events surrounding the rebuilding of the Kaaba and the sacrifice of Abraham's son. The rituals of Hajj are elaborate and deeply symbolic, beginning with the state of Ihram, a condition of spiritual purity, marked by the wearing of simple white garments. pilgrims perform a series of rites including tawaf, circling the Kaaba, sa'i, walking between the hills of Safa and Marwa, standing at the plain of Arafat in prayer and reflection, and the symbolic stoning of the devil at Mina. These acts are performed in a spirit of humility, equality, and devotion, as pilgrims from diverse backgrounds come together in worship. Hajj is a transformative experience that emphasizes the themes of sacrifice, repentance, and renewal. It fosters a profound sense of global Muslim identity and brotherhood as pilgrims set aside worldly distinctions to stand together in submission to Allah. Upon completing the pilgrimage, Muslims are honored with the title of Haji and are encouraged to continue embodying the spiritual lessons learned during this sacred journey in their daily lives. Collectively, the 5 pillars of Islam provide a comprehensive framework for worship, ethical conduct, and community engagement. They encapsulate the core values of faith, discipline, charity, self-restraint, and unity, guiding Muslims in their relationship with Allah and their interactions with others. By adhering to these pillars, Muslims strive to live a balanced and purposeful life, grounded in spiritual principles and committed to the betterment of society. The significance of the 5 pillars extends beyond individual practices. They are integral to the collective identity of the Muslim Ummah community. Through the shared observance of these pillars, Muslims around the world reinforce their common faith and sense of belonging, despite cultural and geographical differences. The pillars serve as a reminder of the core tenets of Islam and the continuous effort required to uphold them in all aspects of life. The spiritual and social dimensions of the 5 pillars highlight the interconnectedness of personal faith and communal responsibility. Each pillar, while focused on individual devotion, also emphasizes the importance of contributing to the welfare and cohesion of the Muslim community. This holistic approach to worship and ethics underscores the comprehensive nature of Islam, encompassing both the inward spiritual journey and the outward expression of faith through actions and service. In contemporary times, the practice of the 5 pillars faces various challenges and adaptations. Muslims navigate diverse socio-political contexts, balancing the demands of modern life with the observance of religious duties. The essence of the pillars, however, remains unchanged, continuing to inspire and guide Muslims in their pursuit of a life aligned with divine principles. Through the 5 pillars, Islam offers a timeless framework for nurturing faith, fostering moral integrity, and building a just and compassionate society. These pillars encapsulate the core message of Islam, calling believers to a life of devotion, discipline, and dedication to the service of humanity, anchored in the unwavering belief in the oneness of Allah and the prophethood of Muhammad. The rapid and widespread expansion of Islam is a remarkable historical phenomenon that reshaped the political, cultural, and religious landscape of vast regions. Following the death of the Prophet Muhammad in 632 CE, the Muslim community, guided by his teachings and inspired by a sense of divine mission, embarked on a series of military, political, and social endeavors that extended their influence far beyond the Arabian Peninsula. The initial phase of Islamic expansion began under the leadership of the first 4 caliphs, known as the Rashidun, or rightly guided caliphs. These caliphs, Abu Bakr, Umar ibn al-Khattab, Uthman ibn Affan, and Ali ibn Abi Talib, played a crucial role in consolidating the Muslim community and launching military campaigns that brought vast territories under Islamic control. Abu Bakr, the first caliph, faced the immediate challenge of unifying the Arabian tribes following Muhammad's death, dealing with internal rebellions, and solidifying the nascent Islamic State. The subsequent caliph, Umar ibn al-Khattab, is particularly noted for his military and administrative prowess. Under his leadership, the Muslim armies achieved significant victories against the Byzantine and Sasanian empires, two of the most powerful states of the time. The Battle of Yarmouk in 636 CE against the Byzantines and the Battle of Qadisiyah in 637 CE against the Sasanians were pivotal, leading to the conquest of Syria, Palestine, Egypt, and Persia. Umar's effective governance and fair administration of these newly acquired territories helped integrate diverse populations into the Islamic State, fostering a sense of unity and shared purpose. The expansion continued under the third caliph, Uthman ibn Affan, who further extended Muslim rule into North Africa and the Caucasus. Uthman's reign also saw the compilation of the Quran into a single authoritative text, ensuring the preservation and uniformity of the Holy Scripture. However, his tenure was marred by internal dissent and accusations of nepotism, leading to his assassination and subsequent political instability. Ali ibn Abi Talib, the fourth caliph, faced significant challenges, including civil strife and opposition from factions within the Muslim community. His leadership was marked by the First Fitna, or civil war, which arose from disputes over Uthman's assassination and questions of legitimate leadership. Despite these conflicts, Ali's reign continued the expansion into new territories, and his emphasis on justice and piety left a lasting impact on Islamic governance. Following the Rashidun caliphs, the Umayyad dynasty emerged, shifting the caliphate's capital from Medina to Damascus. The Umayyads, under leaders like Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, focused on consolidating and expanding the empire, implementing administrative reforms, and establishing a centralized government. The Umayyad caliphs continued military campaigns, pushing further into North Africa, Spain, and even into parts of India and Central Asia. The Battle of Tours in 732 CE, where Muslim forces were halted in their advance into Western Europe by Frankish leader Charles Martel, marked a significant moment in the history of Islamic expansion in Europe. The Umayyad period was characterized by significant cultural and intellectual developments. The Arabization and Islamization policies facilitated the integration of diverse populations into the Islamic fold, promoting Arabic as the administrative and cultural lingua franca. This period also saw the flourishing of arts, architecture, and sciences, influenced by the rich cultural heritage of the conquered regions. However, the Umayyad dynasty faced internal dissent and opposition from various factions, including non-Arab Muslims who felt marginalized. This discontent culminated in the Abbasid Revolution, which overthrew the Umayyads in 750 CE. The Abbasid Caliphate, with its capital in Baghdad, ushered in a golden age of Islamic civilization. The Abbasids focused on consolidating their rule and fostering an environment conducive to intellectual and cultural growth. The Abbasid era marked a significant shift from the military conquests of the earlier periods to a focus on administration, scholarship, and cultural patronage. Baghdad became a center of learning and culture, attracting scholars, scientists, and artists from across the Islamic world and beyond. The translation movement, which saw the translation of Greek, Persian, and Indian texts into Arabic, played a crucial role in preserving and advancing knowledge in various fields, including mathematics, medicine, astronomy, and philosophy. The intellectual achievements of the Abbasid period were complemented by impressive architectural and artistic accomplishments. The construction of grand mosques, palaces, and libraries symbolized the wealth and sophistication of the Abbasid Caliphate. The House of Wisdom in Baghdad, established by Caliph Harun al-Rashid, epitomized the spirit of intellectual inquiry and cross-cultural exchange that characterized the period. While the Abbasid Caliphate maintained its cultural and intellectual preeminence, it faced challenges in maintaining political unity. The vastness of the empire, coupled with regional aspirations for autonomy, led to the emergence of semi-independent states and dynasties, such as the Fatimids in North Africa and Egypt, the Umayyads in Spain, and the Samanids in Central Asia. Despite these political fragmentations, the Islamic civilization continued to thrive, with each region contributing to the broader Islamic cultural and intellectual heritage. The spread of Islam was not solely a result of military conquests. It also involved trade, diplomacy, and missionary activities. Muslim traders and merchants played a crucial role in disseminating Islamic teachings and practices along trade routes that connected the Islamic heartlands with Africa, Asia, and Europe. The establishment of trade networks facilitated cultural and intellectual exchanges, spreading Islamic art, science, and literature to distant regions. Sufi missionaries, with their emphasis on personal piety and mystical practices, were instrumental in spreading Islam to regions such as sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, and the Indian subcontinent. Sufi orders, or tariqas, established centers of learning and spiritual retreat, attracting followers from diverse backgrounds. The inclusive and adaptable nature of Sufism allowed it to resonate with local cultures and traditions, contributing to the widespread acceptance of Islam. The Mongol invasions of the 13th century posed a significant threat to the Islamic world, leading to the destruction of cities such as Baghdad and the decline of the Abbasid Caliphate. However, the Mongols themselves eventually embraced Islam, and their conversion facilitated the spread of Islamic culture and institutions across Central Asia and into China. The subsequent rise of regional powers, such as the Ottoman Empire, the Safavid Empire in Persia, and the Mughal Empire in India, ensured the continued influence and expansion of Islam. The Ottoman Empire, in particular, played a crucial role in the further spread and consolidation of Islam. At its zenith, the Ottoman Empire controlled vast territories across Europe, Asia, and Africa, serving as a bridge between the Islamic and Western worlds. The Ottomans were instrumental in defending Islamic lands from external threats, promoting Islamic scholarship, and fostering a rich cultural and architectural legacy. The Mughal Empire in India also made significant contributions to the Islamic world, blending Persian, Indian, and Islamic cultural elements to create a unique and enduring legacy. The construction of architectural masterpieces, such as the Taj Mahal, and the patronage of arts and literature under the Mughal emperors, exemplified the fusion of diverse cultural influences within the Islamic framework. The spread of Islam continued into the modern era, with the religion establishing a significant presence in regions such as sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia. The resilience and adaptability of Islamic teachings allowed it to navigate the challenges of colonialism, modernization, and globalization. The establishment of Muslim-majority nations in the post-colonial period further solidified Islam's global presence. In contemporary times, Islam remains one of the fastest-growing religions, with a significant presence in nearly every region of the world. The global Muslim community, or Ummah, is characterized by its diversity, encompassing a wide range of cultural, linguistic, and ethnic backgrounds. Despite this diversity, the shared faith and practices of Islam provide a unifying framework that transcends regional and cultural differences. The ongoing spread of Islam is facilitated by various factors, including migration, interfaith dialogue, and the global exchange of ideas and information. Muslim communities in non-Muslim majority countries contribute to the multicultural fabric of their societies, enriching them with their religious and cultural heritage. The presence of Islamic institutions, such as mosques, schools, and cultural centers, fosters a sense of identity and belonging among Muslims and promotes mutual understanding and cooperation with other religious and cultural groups. The historical expansion of Islam is a testament to its enduring appeal and adaptability. From its origins in the Arabian Peninsula to its current global presence, Islam has demonstrated a remarkable capacity to integrate diverse cultures and traditions while maintaining its core principles and values. The legacy of Islamic expansion is reflected in the rich tapestry of Islamic civilization, encompassing a wide range of intellectual, cultural, and spiritual achievements that continue to inspire and influence the world today. The Golden Age of Islam, spanning roughly from the 8th to the 14th century, represents a period of remarkable intellectual, cultural, and scientific achievements in the Islamic world. During this time, Muslim scholars, scientists, and artists made groundbreaking contributions to various fields, profoundly influencing the course of human history and laying the foundations for the Renaissance and the modern era. The Golden Age began with the establishment of the Abbasid Caliphate in 750 CE, which marked a shift in focus from military conquest to intellectual and cultural development. The Abbasids, with their capital in Baghdad, promoted a cosmopolitan and inclusive environment that encouraged learning and scholarship. The caliphs, particularly Harun al-Rashid and his son al-Ma'mun, were great patrons of the arts and sciences, fostering an atmosphere of intellectual curiosity and innovation. One of the most significant institutions of this era was the House of Wisdom, Bait al-Hikmah, in Baghdad. Established by al-Ma'mun in the early 9th century, the House of Wisdom served as a major center for the translation and preservation of ancient texts. Scholars from diverse backgrounds, including Christians, Jews, and Muslims, worked together to translate works of Greek, Persian, Indian, and other origins into Arabic. This translation movement preserved a vast body of knowledge that might have otherwise been lost, and made it accessible to the Islamic world and beyond. The scientific achievements of the Golden Age were vast and varied. In the field of mathematics, Muslim scholars made significant advancements, particularly in algebra and trigonometry. The Persian mathematician al-Khwarizmi, often called the father of algebra, wrote influential works that introduced the concepts of algorithms and algebraic notation. His book, Kitab al-Jabr wal-Muqabala, from which the term algebra is derived, became a foundational text in mathematics. Another notable mathematician, Omar Khayyam, made important contributions to algebra and geometry. His work on the classification and solution of cubic equations demonstrated a sophisticated understanding of mathematical principles. Additionally, the development of trigonometry was advanced by scholars like al-Battani and al-Tusi, whose work laid the groundwork for later astronomical discoveries. Astronomy also flourished during the Golden Age of Islam. Muslim astronomers built upon the knowledge of their predecessors, developing accurate astronomical tables and improving observational techniques. Al-Battani, known in the West as Albategnius, made precise measurements of celestial bodies and corrected Ptolemy's calculations of the solar year. The Persian astronomer al-Sufi produced a detailed star catalog, Book of Fixed Stars, which included descriptions of constellations and their positions. One of the most renowned astronomers and mathematicians of the Islamic Golden Age was Nasir al-Din al-Tusi. His work in the Marageh Observatory in Persia led to significant advancements in the understanding of planetary motion. Al-Tusi's Tusi couple, a mathematical model, was a precursor to the later heliocentric models of the solar system proposed by Copernicus. Medicine was another field in which Muslim scholars excelled. The works of physicians such as Al-Razi, Rhazes, and Ibn Sina, Avicenna, were highly influential. Al-Razi, a Persian polymath, wrote extensively on medicine, including his comprehensive medical encyclopedia, Kitab al-Hawi. He is credited with the discovery of sulfuric acid and alcohol, and his clinical observations laid the foundation for modern medical practices. Ibn Sina's Canon of Medicine, Al-Qanon fi al-Tib, was a monumental work that synthesized medical knowledge from various cultures and remained a standard reference in Europe and the Islamic world for centuries. The Canon covered topics such as anatomy, pharmacology, and disease diagnosis, and it emphasized the importance of systematic experimentation and observation in medical practice. Chemistry, known as alchemy during this period, also saw significant advancements. Muslim alchemists such as Jabir ibn Hayyan, Geber, made notable contributions to the understanding of chemical processes and the development of laboratory techniques. Jabir's works, which include descriptions of distillation, crystallization, and the preparation of various compounds, laid the groundwork for modern chemistry. In the field of physics, scholars like Ibn al-Haytham, al-Hazan, made groundbreaking contributions to optics and the scientific method. Ibn al-Haytham's Book of Optics, Kitab al-Manazir, provided a detailed analysis of light and vision, challenging and refining the theories of earlier Greek scientists. His work on the nature of light, reflection, refraction, and the anatomy of the eye had a profound impact on the development of optical science. The intellectual achievements of the Golden Age of Islam were not limited to the sciences. They also extended to the humanities. Islamic scholars made significant contributions to philosophy, literature, and the arts. The translation of Greek philosophical works into Arabic brought the ideas of Plato, Aristotle, and other classical philosophers to the Islamic world. Muslim philosophers such as Al-Farabi, Ibn Sina, and Ibn Rushd, Averroes, engaged with these texts, developing their own philosophical systems that synthesized Islamic theology with Greek philosophy. Al-Farabi, often referred to as the second teacher after Aristotle, wrote extensively on political philosophy, ethics, and metaphysics. His work, Al-Madina al-Fadila, The Virtuous City, outlined his vision of an ideal society governed by reason and virtue. Ibn Sina's metaphysical writings explored the nature of existence and the relationship between God and the world, influencing both Islamic and Western philosophical thought. Ibn Rushd, known for his commentaries on Aristotle, played a crucial role in transmitting and interpreting Aristotelian philosophy to the Western world. His works were later translated into Latin and had a significant impact on medieval European thought, particularly during the scholastic period. Literature and the arts also flourished during the Golden Age of Islam. The rich tradition of Arabic poetry, with its emphasis on eloquence and expression, was complemented by the development of prose literature. The 1001 Nights, Alf Layla wa Layla, a collection of Middle Eastern folk tales, became one of the most famous works of world literature. This compilation of stories, which includes tales of adventure, romance, and fantasy, reflects the diverse cultural influences and storytelling traditions of the Islamic world. Calligraphy, architecture, and decorative arts reached new heights during this period. Islamic calligraphy, characterized by its intricate and flowing script, became a revered art form used to transcribe the Quran and embellish architectural structures. The development of distinct styles, such as Kufich and Naskh, demonstrated the artistic creativity and aesthetic sensibilities of Muslim calligraphers. Islamic architecture, influenced by Persian, Byzantine, and indigenous styles, produced iconic structures that remain architectural marvels. The Great Mosque of Cordoba in Spain, with its horseshoe arches and ornate mihrab, exemplifies the fusion of diverse architectural traditions. The Alhambra in Granada, with its intricate stucco work and lush gardens, showcases the aesthetic and engineering prowess of Islamic architects. The Golden Age of Islam also saw the development of distinctive artistic traditions in ceramics, textiles, and metalwork. The intricate geometric patterns and arabesque designs that adorn Islamic art reflect the cultural emphasis on symmetry, balance, and the abstract representation of the divine. The intellectual and cultural achievements of the Golden Age of Islam were facilitated by a network of scholars, merchants, and travelers who connected different regions of the Islamic world. Cities such as Baghdad, Cordoba, Cairo, and Damascus became vibrant centers of learning and cultural exchange. The establishment of madrasas, educational institutions, and libraries ensured the transmission and preservation of knowledge across generations. The impact of the Golden Age of Islam extended far beyond the boundaries of the Islamic world. The translation of Arabic scientific and philosophical works into Latin during the 12th and 13th centuries played a crucial role in the intellectual revival of Europe. The knowledge preserved and expanded by Muslim scholars laid the foundations for the European Renaissance and the subsequent scientific revolution. In summary, the Golden Age of Islam was a period of unparalleled intellectual and cultural growth that produced significant advancements in science, medicine, mathematics, philosophy, literature, and the arts. The contributions of Muslim scholars and artists during this era not only shaped the course of Islamic civilization, but also had a profound and lasting impact on the development of human knowledge and culture worldwide. The legacy of this golden age continues to inspire and influence contemporary thought and creativity, underscoring the enduring significance of this remarkable period in history. The division of Islam into its two main branches, Sunni and Shia, is rooted in the early history of the Muslim community and the question of leadership succession following the death of the Prophet Muhammad. Understanding the origins, theological differences, historical conflicts, and contemporary significance of these two branches is crucial to comprehending the diversity and dynamics within the Islamic world. The origins of the Sunni-Shia split date back to the immediate aftermath of Muhammad's death in 632 CE. The Muslim community faced the critical issue of selecting a new leader, or caliph, to guide the Ummah community and ensure the continuity of Islamic governance. A group of Muhammad's close companions gathered to choose a successor, eventually selecting Abu Bakr, a trusted friend and advisor of the Prophet, as the first caliph. Abu Bakr's selection was based on the principle of shura, or consultation, which emphasized the collective decision-making process of the community's elders. However, a significant faction within the Muslim community believed that Ali ibn Abi Talib, the Prophet's cousin and son-in-law, was the rightful successor. This group argued that leadership should remain within the Prophet's family, pointing to various instances where Muhammad had expressed admiration and support for Ali's capabilities. Despite these assertions, Ali did not initially contest Abu Bakr's caliphate, and he eventually became the fourth caliph after the deaths of Abu Bakr, Umar ibn al-Khattab, and Uthman ibn Affan. Ali's caliphate was marked by internal strife and conflicts, known as the First Fitna, or civil war. His leadership was challenged by factions within the Muslim community, including Aisha, the Prophet's widow, and Muawiyah, the governor of Syria and a relative of Uthman. The Battle of the Camel and the Battle of Siffin were two major confrontations during Ali's reign, highlighting the deep divisions within the Ummah. Ali's eventual assassination in 661 CE further exacerbated these tensions, leading to the establishment of the Umayyad dynasty under Muawiyah and solidifying the schism between the two groups. The followers of Ali, who believed in his rightful leadership and the legitimacy of his descendants, came to be known as Shia, from the term Shiat Ali, meaning the party of Ali. They upheld the belief that Ali and his descendants, known as Imams, possessed special spiritual and political authority granted by Allah. This line of succession is considered divinely ordained, and the Imams are seen as infallible leaders with deep knowledge of the Quran and Islamic law. In contrast, the majority of Muslims who accepted the legitimacy of the first three caliphs and the Umayyad rule became known as Sunni, derived from Ahl al-Sunnah, meaning the people of the tradition, the Sunnah of the Prophet. Sunnis emphasize the importance of the community's consensus, ijma, and the historical precedent set by the Prophet's companions. They do not attribute infallibility to their leaders and maintain that leadership should be determined by the merit and piety of the individual. The theological differences between Sunni and Shia Islam extend beyond the issue of succession. Shia Islam places a strong emphasis on the concept of imamate, the belief in a line of divinely appointed leaders who are considered the rightful interpreters of Islamic teachings. The Imams are seen as the spiritual and temporal successors to the Prophet, endowed with divine guidance and authority. This belief in the imamat has led to the development of a distinct Shia religious hierarchy and a rich tradition of scholarship centered around the teachings of the Imams. Sunni Islam, on the other hand, emphasizes the role of the caliph as a political leader who is responsible for maintaining order and implementing Islamic law but does not possess divine authority. Sunni jurisprudence is based on four major schools of thought: Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, and Hanbali. These schools differ in their interpretations of Islamic law, Sharia, and their methodologies for deriving legal rulings, but they share a common reliance on the Quran, the Hadith, sayings and actions of the Prophet, and the consensus of the community. The historical conflict between Sunni and Shia Muslims has been marked by periods of intense rivalry, political maneuvering, and at times, violent confrontations. The early Islamic Empire witnessed several significant events that deepened the divide, including the Battle of Karbala in 680 CE, where Hussein ibn Ali, the grandson of the Prophet and a revered figure in Shia Islam, was martyred along with his followers. The tragedy of Karbala became a defining moment for Shia identity, symbolizing the struggle against tyranny and the sacrifice for justice. It is commemorated annually during the month of Muharram, with Ashura being the most solemn day of mourning. The Abbasid Caliphate, which succeeded the Umayyads, initially sought to bridge the gap between Sunni and Shia factions, but eventually aligned more closely with Sunni orthodoxy. The Shia community continued to face persecution and marginalization, leading to the development of distinct religious practices, rituals, and theological doctrines. Various Shia dynasties, such as the Fatimids in North Africa and Egypt, and later the Safavids in Persia, established Shia Islam as the state religion, contributing to the cultural and political consolidation of Shia communities. Over the centuries, Sunni and Shia Islam have developed rich and diverse cultural traditions, theological schools, and spiritual practices. Shia Islam has several branches, the largest being the Twelvers, Ithna Ashari, who believe in a line of 12 Imams, with the 12th Imam, Muhammad al-Mahdi, currently in occultation and expected to return as the Mahdi, or guided one, to bring justice to the world. Other significant Shia groups include the Ismailis, who follow a different line of imams, and the Zaydis, who have their own distinct theological and legal traditions. Sunnis, who make up the majority of the Muslim population worldwide, also exhibit a wide range of cultural and religious diversity. The four major Sunni schools of jurisprudence offer different approaches to legal and ethical questions, reflecting the adaptability and pluralism within Sunni Islam. Additionally, Sufism, the mystical dimension of Islam, has a significant presence within both Sunni and Shia communities. Sufi orders, or tariqas, emphasize the inner, spiritual path to God and have produced a rich tradition of poetry, music, and devotional practices. In contemporary times, the Sunni-Shia divide continues to shape the political, social, and religious dynamics of the Islamic world. The Middle East, in particular, has witnessed conflicts and rivalries that are often framed along sectarian lines. Although the underlying causes are frequently political, economic, and geopolitical. The Iranian Revolution of 1979, which established a Shia theocracy in Iran, significantly altered the balance of power in the region and intensified Sunni-Shia tensions. Countries like Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen have experienced sectarian violence and political instability, often exacerbated by external interventions and regional power struggles. However, it is essential to recognize that Sunni and Shia communities have also coexisted peacefully for centuries, sharing common cultural, social, and religious bonds. Many Muslims, both Sunni and Shia, emphasize the importance of unity and mutual respect, advocating for dialogue and reconciliation to overcome historical grievances and contemporary challenges. In the broader Muslim diaspora, especially in Western countries, Sunni and Shia Muslims often come together to address common issues, build interfaith and intrafaith understanding, and promote a cohesive Islamic identity. Educational institutions, community centers, and religious organizations play a crucial role in fostering cooperation and bridging divides. Theological dialogues and academic scholarship have also contributed to a deeper understanding of the shared foundations and distinct traditions within Sunni and Shia Islam. Scholars and religious leaders engage in discussions to explore common ground, address misconceptions, and highlight the rich intellectual and spiritual heritage of both branches. The Sunni-Shia dynamic is a complex and multifaceted aspect of the Islamic world, reflecting the diversity and adaptability of Islam as a global faith. While historical and contemporary conflicts underscore the challenges of sectarianism, the shared beliefs, practices, and values that unite Muslims across these divisions offer a foundation for solidarity and collective progress. Understanding the historical roots, theological nuances, and contemporary significance of Sunni and Shia Islam is essential for appreciating the richness and diversity of the Muslim experience and for fostering a more inclusive and harmonious global community. Sufism, or Islamic mysticism, represents a dimension of Islam that emphasizes the inward search for God and the cultivation of the soul. It seeks to find divine truth and love through direct personal experience of God. The roots of Sufism can be traced back to the early days of Islam, and it has since evolved into a rich and diverse tradition that has profoundly influenced the spiritual, cultural, and intellectual life of the Muslim world. Sufism's origins lie in the Quran and the Hadith, the sayings and actions of the Prophet Muhammad. Many of the spiritual principles and practices of Sufism are derived from these foundational texts. The Quran speaks of the importance of the remembrance of God, dhikr, inner purification, and the realization of the divine presence. The Prophet Muhammad himself is seen by Sufis as the perfect example of a life devoted to God, characterized by deep piety, humility, and compassion. The term Sufi is believed to be derived from the Arabic word suf, meaning wool, referring to the simple woolen garments worn by early ascetics who sought to emulate the Prophet's simplicity and detachment from worldly pleasures. These early mystics emphasized the importance of an ascetic lifestyle, renouncing materialism to attain spiritual purity and closeness to God. One of the earliest and most influential Sufi figures was Hassan al-Basri, 642–728 CE, a renowned preacher and ascetic from Basra. He emphasized the concepts of divine love and fear, encouraging Muslims to cultivate a personal relationship with God and to live in constant awareness of the divine presence. His teachings laid the groundwork for subsequent developments in Sufism, particularly the emphasis on inner purification and the quest for spiritual perfection. The development of Sufi orders, or tariqas, was a significant milestone in the history of Sufism. These orders were founded by charismatic spiritual leaders, or sheikhs, who established schools of thought and practice based on their interpretations of Islamic mysticism. The orders provided a structured framework for spiritual training, including rituals, disciplines, and communal practices aimed at guiding followers on their spiritual journeys. One of the most prominent Sufi orders is the Qadiriyya, founded by Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, 1077–1166 CE. Al-Jilani was a revered scholar and mystic whose teachings emphasized the importance of self-discipline, humility, and the remembrance of God. His order became known for its charitable activities and its role in spreading Sufism throughout the Islamic world. Another influential Sufi order is the Chishtiya, founded by Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti, 1141–1236 CE, in India. The Chishtiya order is known for its emphasis on love, tolerance, and openness to people of all backgrounds. Moinuddin Chishti's teachings focused on the importance of service to humanity as a means of serving God, and his legacy continues to inspire millions of followers in South Asia and beyond. The Naqshbandiya order, founded by Bahauddin Naqshband, 1318–1389 CE, is another major Sufi tradition. This order places a strong emphasis on silent dhikr, remembrance of God, and adherence to the Sharia, Islamic law. The Naqshbandiya has played a crucial role in the spiritual and political life of Central Asia, the Indian subcontinent, and the Ottoman Empire. Sufi practices are diverse and multifaceted, reflecting the rich tapestry of Sufi thought and tradition. Central to Sufi practice is the concept of dhikr, or the remembrance of God. Dhikr can take many forms, including the repetition of God's names, recitation of Quranic verses, and devotional poetry. This practice is intended to cultivate a constant awareness of God's presence and to purify the heart from worldly distractions. Another important practice in Sufism is the Sama, or spiritual listening, which often involves music, chanting, and poetry. The most famous example of this is the whirling dance of the Mevlevi order, founded by the renowned Persian poet and mystic Jalaluddin Rumi, 1207–1273 CE. The whirling dervishes, as they are known, perform a dance that symbolizes the soul's ascent toward divine love and unity with God. Rumi's poetry, particularly his magnum opus, the Mathnawi, continues to inspire Sufis and non-Sufis alike with its profound spiritual insights and lyrical beauty. Sufism also places a strong emphasis on the relationship between the disciple, murid, and the spiritual guide, sheikh. The sheikh, who has attained a high level of spiritual realization, provides guidance and instruction to the disciple, helping them navigate the spiritual path. This relationship is characterized by deep respect, trust, and love, with the sheikhs serving as a living example of the teachings they impart. The concept of fana, or annihilation of the self, is another central tenet of Sufi thought. Fana involves the dissolution of the ego and the realization of one's unity with God. This state is often described as a merging of the individual soul with the divine, leading to a profound experience of divine presence and love. The attainment of fana is seen as a gradual process, requiring intense spiritual practice, self-discipline, and the guidance of a sheikh. Sufism has produced a rich literary and artistic heritage that continues to influence Islamic culture and beyond. Sufi poetry, characterized by its themes of divine love, longing, and union, has been a significant vehicle for expressing mystical insights and experiences. Poets like Rumi, Hafiz, and Ibn Arabi have left an indelible mark on the literary traditions of the Islamic world. Their works, often composed in Persian and Arabic, explore the depths of the human soul and the mysteries of the divine in ways that resonate across cultures and ages. Sufi music, too, has played a crucial role in expressing and transmitting Sufi teachings. The devotional songs of the Qawwali tradition in South Asia, made famous by artists like Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, exemplify the ecstatic and transformative power of Sufi music. Qawwali performances, with their rhythmic clapping, powerful vocals, and repetitive refrains, are designed to induce a state of spiritual fervor and connection with the divine. Sufi art, particularly calligraphy and architecture, reflects the mystical principles of Sufism. Calligraphy, with its intricate and flowing script, is often used to transcribe Quranic verses and Sufi poetry, symbolizing the unity and beauty of the divine word. Sufi architecture, exemplified by the grand mosques and Sufi shrines, incorporates geometric patterns and designs that symbolize the harmony and order of the cosmos, mirroring the spiritual journey of the soul toward God. Despite its profound spiritual and cultural contributions, Sufism has faced criticism and opposition from various quarters within the Islamic world. Some Orthodox scholars and religious authorities have viewed certain Sufi practices, such as the veneration of saints and the use of music and dance in worship, as deviations from Islamic orthodoxy. This tension has sometimes led to persecution and marginalization of Sufi communities. However, Sufism has also demonstrated a remarkable ability to adapt and thrive in diverse cultural and historical contexts. Sufi orders have often played a crucial role in the spread of Islam, particularly in regions such as Sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, and the Indian subcontinent. The inclusive and flexible nature of Sufi teachings has allowed them to resonate with a wide range of cultural practices and beliefs, facilitating the integration of Islam into local traditions. In contemporary times, Sufism continues to be a vital and dynamic force within the Islamic world and beyond. Sufi orders and communities can be found across the globe, from the traditional heartlands of the Middle East and South Asia to Europe, North America, and Africa. The universal themes of love, compassion, and spiritual realization that underpin Sufi teachings continue to attract followers from diverse backgrounds and beliefs. Sufism has also gained a broader appeal in the modern world, resonating with those seeking a more personal and experiential approach to spirituality. The writings of Sufi poets like Rumi have become immensely popular in the West, inspiring countless individuals with their messages of love and unity. Sufi practices such as meditation, chanting, and whirling have been embraced by spiritual seekers from various traditions, contributing to a global renaissance of interest in mysticism and inner transformation. The enduring legacy of Sufism lies in its ability to bridge the gap between the inner and outer dimensions of faith, offering a path to spiritual realization that is both deeply rooted in Islamic tradition and universally accessible. By emphasizing the transformative power of love, the importance of self-purification, and the pursuit of direct experience of the divine, Sufism provides a timeless and profound way to explore the depths of the human soul and the mysteries of the divine. In conclusion, Sufism, with its rich spiritual heritage and profound teachings, represents a vital dimension of the Islamic tradition. Its emphasis on inner purification, direct experience of God, and the cultivation of love and compassion continues to inspire and guide countless individuals on their spiritual journeys. Through its poetry, music, art, and practices, Sufism offers a unique and transformative path to the divine, one that transcends cultural and temporal boundaries and speaks to the universal quest for meaning and connection. Islam and governance are deeply intertwined, with Islamic principles shaping various forms of political structures and legal systems throughout history. The relationship between Islam and governance is complex and multifaceted, influenced by theological interpretations, historical contexts, cultural practices, and contemporary challenges. The foundation of Islamic governance is rooted in the Quran and the Hadith, which provide guidelines for establishing a just and moral society. The Quran emphasizes the principles of justice, consultation, shura, and the welfare of the community. These principles were embodied in the early Islamic state established by the Prophet Muhammad in Medina, which served as a model for subsequent Islamic governance. The concept of the caliphate, or the leadership of the Muslim community, emerged after the death of Muhammad. The first four caliphs, known as the Rashidun, or rightly guided caliphs, were chosen through a process of consultation and consensus among the Prophet's companions. The Rashidun Caliphate, 632-661 CE, is often regarded as a golden era of Islamic governance, characterized by its emphasis on justice, accountability, and adherence to Islamic principles. The Rashidun Caliphate was followed by the Umayyad, 661-750 CE, and Abbasid, 750-1258 CE caliphates, which expanded the Islamic Empire and established more complex administrative structures. The Umayyad Caliphate, with its capital in Damascus, introduced elements of centralized governance and bureaucracy. The Abbasid Caliphate, based in Baghdad, further developed these structures, promoting cultural and intellectual flourishing alongside political governance. Islamic governance during the Abbasid period saw the establishment of various institutions, including courts, qadis, and administrative offices, to implement Islamic law, Sharia, and manage state affairs. The integration of Islamic principles with administrative practices created a unique system of governance that influenced many regions under Islamic rule. Islamic law, or Sharia, plays a central role in Islamic governance. Sharia is derived from the Quran, the Hadith, and the consensus of Islamic scholars, ijma. It encompasses various aspects of life, including criminal justice, family law, commercial transactions, and personal conduct. The implementation of Sharia has varied across different historical periods and regions, reflecting diverse interpretations and adaptations to local contexts. During the medieval period, Islamic governance was characterized by the coexistence of multiple political entities, including caliphates, sultanates, and emirates. These entities often had complex relationships with one another, involving alliances, conflicts, and varying degrees of autonomy. Despite political fragmentation, the shared adherence to Islamic principles provided a unifying framework for governance. The Ottoman Empire, 1299-1922 CE, represents one of the most significant examples of Islamic governance in the early modern period. The Ottomans established a sophisticated administrative system that integrated Islamic law, with statecraft. The sultans, who were also caliphs, wielded both political and religious authority. The Ottoman legal system included both Sharia courts and secular courts, reflecting the empire's ability to adapt Islamic principles to the needs of a diverse and multi-ethnic state. The concept of Sharia and its application have evolved over time, influenced by changing political, social, and economic contexts. In some regions, Islamic governance has been characterized by a strict adherence to traditional interpretations of Sharia, while in others, more flexible and reformist approaches have been adopted. The balance between religious authority and political power has been a recurring theme in the history of Islamic governance. In the contemporary world, Islamic governance takes various forms, reflecting the diversity of Muslim-majority countries. Some countries, such as Saudi Arabia and Iran, have adopted systems of governance that emphasize the implementation of Sharia as the foundation of their legal and political structures. In these countries, religious authorities play a significant role in interpreting and enforcing Islamic law. Saudi Arabia, for example, is an absolute monarchy where the king holds supreme political authority, and governance is based on a strict interpretation of Sharia. The legal system is heavily influenced by the Hanbali school of Islamic jurisprudence, and religious scholars, ulama, have considerable influence over legal and social matters. The Saudi state seeks to uphold a puritanical form of Islam known as Wahhabism, which has shaped its domestic and foreign policies. Iran, on the other hand, has a unique system of governance known as the Islamic Republic, established after the 1979 revolution. The Iranian system combines elements of theocracy and republicanism, with the supreme leader, a senior religious figure, holding ultimate authority over both religious and political matters. The president and parliament are elected through popular vote, but their decisions are subject to approval by the Guardian Council, a body of religious scholars and jurists. This system reflects the Shia belief in the leadership of the ulama and the concept of wilayat al-faqih, guardianship of the jurist. Other Muslim-majority countries have adopted more secular approaches to governance while incorporating elements of Islamic law and principles. Turkey, for instance, established a secular republic in the early 20th century under the leadership of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. While secularism remains a core principle of the Turkish state, Islamic values continue to influence aspects of social and cultural life. The ruling Justice and Development Party, AKP, has sought to balance secular governance with the accommodation of religious expression. Indonesia, the world's largest Muslim-majority country, presents another model of Islamic governance. Indonesia's system is based on the principles of Pancasila, which include belief in God, humanitarianism, national unity, democracy, and social justice. While Indonesia is not an Islamic state, Islam plays a significant role in shaping national identity and public policy. The country has a pluralistic legal system that includes Islamic courts for personal and family matters, alongside a secular judiciary. In Malaysia, the dual legal system accommodates both Sharia and civil courts. Sharia courts have jurisdiction over personal and family law for Muslims, while civil courts handle criminal and commercial matters. This dual system reflects Malaysia's commitment to balancing Islamic principles with the demands of a modern, multi-ethnic society. The relationship between Islam and governance also manifests in various political movements and parties that seek to promote Islamic values within democratic frameworks. The Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, the Ennahda movement in Tunisia, and the Justice and Development Party, PJD, in Morocco, are examples of political entities that advocate for governance based on Islamic principles while participating in electoral politics. The Arab Spring, a series of uprisings and protests that swept across the Middle East and North Africa in the early 2010s highlighted the complex interplay between Islam and governance. The movements called for greater political freedom, social justice, and economic opportunity, and in some cases, led to the rise of Islamist parties. However, the outcomes have been varied, with some countries experiencing democratic transitions, others descending into conflict, and still, others seeing the reassertion of authoritarian rule. The challenges of contemporary Islamic governance include addressing issues of human rights, gender equality, economic development, and political stability. Debates over the interpretation and implementation of Sharia, the role of religious authorities, and the relationship between religion and state continue to shape the political landscape of Muslim-majority countries. Human rights and gender equality are particularly contentious issues in the context of Islamic governance. While many Muslim scholars and activists advocate for interpretations of Sharia that uphold the principles of justice and equality, others resist reforms that they perceive as contrary to traditional Islamic teachings. The status of women, in particular, varies widely across the Muslim world, with ongoing debates over issues such as education, employment, political participation, and personal freedoms. Economic development and social justice are also critical concerns for Islamic governance. Many Muslim-majority countries face significant challenges related to poverty, unemployment, and inequality. Islamic economic principles, such as the prohibition of interest, riba, the emphasis on social welfare, zakat, and the promotion of ethical business practices, offer potential frameworks for addressing these issues. However, the practical implementation of these principles requires innovative approaches that balance religious values with contemporary economic realities. Political stability and the rule of law are essential components of effective governance. In some Muslim-majority countries, political instability, corruption, and weak institutions undermine efforts to achieve good governance. Strengthening democratic institutions, promoting transparency, and ensuring accountability are crucial for building trust and legitimacy in governance systems. The global context of Islamic governance also includes the experiences of Muslim minorities in non-Muslim majority countries. In these contexts, Muslims navigate the challenges of practicing their faith while participating in broader secular political systems. Issues such as religious freedom, integration, and representation are central to the experiences of Muslim communities in countries such as India, the United States, and various European nations. Islamic governance, in its various forms, reflects the diversity and adaptability of Islamic principles to different cultural, historical, and political contexts. The relationship between Islam and governance continues to evolve, shaped by ongoing debates, challenges, and aspirations for justice, prosperity, and spiritual fulfillment. Understanding this dynamic relationship is essential for appreciating the complexity and richness of the Islamic world and its contributions to global political thought and practice. Women in Islam have played a significant and multifaceted role throughout history, with their status and rights being shaped by a combination of religious teachings, cultural practices, and socio-political contexts. The role and status of women in Islam is a topic of great interest and debate, encompassing aspects of theology, law, social norms, and individual experiences. This chapter aims to provide a comprehensive understanding of women's roles in Islam, highlighting the diverse perspectives and practices that exist within the Muslim world. Islamic teachings regarding women are rooted in the Quran and the Hadith, the sayings and actions of the Prophet Muhammad. The Quran emphasizes the spiritual and moral equality of men and women, stating in Surah Al-Hujurat 49:13 that all human beings are created from a single soul and are equal in the eyes of God. Both men and women are equally accountable for their actions and are entitled to pursue righteousness and piety. The life of the Prophet Muhammad also provides numerous examples of the respect and consideration afforded to women. His first wife, Khadija bint Khuwailid, was a successful businesswoman who supported Muhammad both emotionally and financially. Her role in the early Muslim community underscores the active participation and influence of women in the formative years of Islam. Aisha bint Abu Bakr, another of Muhammad's wives, is renowned for her scholarship and contributions to Islamic jurisprudence and hadith literature. She narrated numerous hadiths and was consulted by many early Muslim scholars on matters of religion and law. Islamic law, or Sharia, provides specific guidelines regarding the rights and responsibilities of women. These guidelines encompass various aspects of life, including marriage, divorce, inheritance, and education. One of the fundamental principles of Islamic law is the protection of women's rights and dignity. For example, women are entitled to own property, conduct business, and receive an education. The Quran explicitly grants women the right to inheritance, a significant departure from pre-Islamic Arabian customs, where women were often denied such rights. Marriage in Islam is viewed as a partnership based on mutual consent, respect, and compassion. The Quran emphasizes the importance of kindness and equitable treatment within marriage, and both spouses have specific rights and responsibilities. A Muslim woman has the right to accept or reject a marriage proposal, and her consent is essential for the validity of the marriage contract. Furthermore, the concept of mahar, a mandatory bridal gift from the groom to the bride, serves as a form of financial security for the woman. Divorce, although permissible in Islam, is considered a last resort and is subject to specific regulations designed to protect the rights of both parties. A woman has the right to seek a divorce, khula, if the marriage becomes untenable, and she is entitled to maintenance and support during the waiting period, iddah, following the divorce. The Quran and Hadith emphasize the importance of fairness and justice in the treatment of women during and after the dissolution of marriage. The right to education is another critical aspect of women's rights in Islam. The pursuit of knowledge is considered a religious duty for all Muslims, regardless of gender. Throughout Islamic history, women have made significant contributions to various fields of knowledge, including theology, medicine, literature, and the arts. Prominent female scholars, such as Fatima al-Fihri, who founded the University of Al-Qarawiyyin in Morocco, and Zainab al-Ghazali, a renowned Egyptian activist and writer, exemplify the importance of education and intellectual engagement for Muslim women. Despite the foundational principles of equality and justice in Islam, the status and rights of women have varied widely across different cultural and historical contexts. In some regions, cultural practices and patriarchal norms have overshadowed Islamic teachings, leading to the marginalization and oppression of women. Practices such as forced marriage, female genital mutilation, and honor killings are not rooted in Islamic teachings, but are cultural customs that persist in certain societies. These practices have been widely condemned by Islamic scholars and human rights organizations. In contrast, many Muslim-majority countries have made significant strides in advancing women's rights and promoting gender equality. Legal reforms, educational initiatives, and women's empowerment programs have contributed to improving the status of women in various spheres of life. Countries like Tunisia, Turkey, and Indonesia have implemented policies that enhance women's participation in politics, education, and the workforce. These efforts reflect a commitment to aligning national laws and practices with the principles of justice and equality enshrined in Islamic teachings. The role of women in contemporary Islamic societies is diverse and dynamic. Muslim women are actively engaged in various fields, including politics, academia, business, and activism. They are challenging stereotypes and advocating for their rights and interests within the framework of their faith. Prominent figures such as Malala Yousafzai, the Nobel Prize-winning advocate for girls' education, and Ilhan Omar, one of the first Muslim women elected to the U.S. Congress, exemplify the leadership and resilience of Muslim women in the modern world. The rise of Islamic feminism has also contributed to the discourse on women's rights in Islam. Islamic feminists seek to reinterpret religious texts and traditions from a perspective that emphasizes gender equality and social justice. They argue that patriarchal interpretations of Islamic teachings have often misrepresented the true spirit of Islam, which advocates for the dignity and empowerment of women. Through scholarly work, activism, and community engagement, Islamic feminists are striving to create a more inclusive and equitable understanding of Islam. The issue of hijab, or modest dress, is another area where diverse perspectives and practices exist within the Muslim world. For some Muslim women, wearing the hijab is a personal and religious choice that symbolizes modesty, piety, and identity. For others, it is seen as a cultural practice or a form of resistance against westernization and cultural imperialism. The debate over hijab has often been politicized, with some countries imposing bans or restrictions on its use, while others mandate it as part of the national dress code. Muslim women continue to navigate these complexities, asserting their agency and autonomy in making decisions about their attire. The intersection of religion, culture, and politics also shapes the experiences of Muslim women in diaspora communities. In Western countries, Muslim women often face unique challenges related to identity, integration, and discrimination. Islamophobia and negative stereotypes can create barriers to social and economic opportunities. However, Muslim women in the diaspora are also finding ways to build bridges, foster understanding, and contribute to their communities. They're engaging in interfaith dialogue, civic activism, and cultural initiatives to promote mutual respect and inclusion. The global Muslim women's movement is marked by its diversity and resilience. Organizations such as Sisters in Islam in Malaysia, Musawa, a global movement for equality and justice in the Muslim family, and the Women's Islamic Initiative in Spirituality and Equality, WISE, are working to address issues of gender justice, legal reform, and women's empowerment from within an Islamic framework. These organizations collaborate with scholars, activists, and policymakers to advocate for positive change and to challenge discriminatory practices. The role of women in Islamic spirituality and religious practice is also significant. Women have historically been active participants in Sufi orders, where they engage in spiritual practices, leadership, and scholarship. Female Sufi saints and mystics, such as Rabia al-Adawiyya, are revered for their profound spiritual insights and contributions to Islamic mysticism. In contemporary times, women continue to play important roles in religious education, community leadership, and spiritual guidance. The experiences of Muslim women are shaped by a complex interplay of religious teachings, cultural practices, socio-economic factors, and individual choices. While challenges and inequalities persist, there is also a rich history of resilience, agency, and achievement among Muslim women. By drawing on the principles of justice, compassion, and equality inherent in Islamic teachings, Muslim women are forging paths toward greater empowerment and recognition in all aspects of life. In conclusion, the role and status of women in Islam are multifaceted and evolving. The foundational principles of equality and justice in Islamic teachings provide a basis for advocating women's rights and empowerment. Historical and contemporary examples demonstrate the active and influential roles that women have played and continue to play in various spheres of life. The ongoing efforts of Muslim women to challenge stereotypes, advocate for their rights, and contribute to their communities reflect the dynamic and diverse nature of the Muslim world. By embracing the true spirit of Islam, which champions the dignity and potential of every individual, Muslim societies can continue to advance towards greater gender equality and social justice. Islam in the modern world faces a variety of challenges and opportunities as it navigates the complexities of globalization, political upheaval, social change, and interfaith dynamics. The contemporary landscape of Islam is marked by its diversity, as Muslim communities across the globe engage with their faith in ways that reflect their unique cultural, historical, and social contexts. One of the most significant challenges facing Islam today is the integration of Muslim communities into secular, pluralistic societies, particularly in the West. Muslim immigrants and their descendants in countries such as the United States, Canada, and various European nations often confront issues of identity, belonging, and discrimination. Islamophobia, fueled by media portrayals, political rhetoric, and acts of terrorism committed by extremist groups, has contributed to a climate of suspicion and hostility towards Muslims. This environment can lead to social and economic marginalization, affecting employment, education, and community relations. Muslim communities respond to these challenges in diverse ways. Many engage in interfaith dialogue, community service, and civic participation to build bridges and foster mutual understanding. Organizations such as the Council on American Islamic Relations, CARE in the United States, the Muslim Council of Britain, MCB, and numerous local initiatives work to combat Islamophobia, advocate for civil rights, and promote positive representations of Islam. These efforts are crucial in creating inclusive societies where Muslims can practice their faith freely and contribute to the common good. Education and the dissemination of knowledge are vital components of the modern Islamic experience. Islamic educational institutions, ranging from traditional madrasas to modern universities, play a crucial role in preserving and transmitting Islamic knowledge, while also engaging with contemporary issues. Institutions like Al-Azhar University in Egypt, the International Islamic University in Malaysia, and the American Islamic College in the United States offer programs that integrate classical Islamic scholarship with modern disciplines. These institutions strive to produce scholars who can address the needs of their communities and contribute to the broader intellectual and cultural discourse. The rise of digital technology and social media has also transformed how Muslims engage with their faith. Online platforms provide access to a wealth of religious resources, including Quranic recitations, lectures, and scholarly articles. Social media enables Muslims to connect with one another, share experiences, and engage in discussions about various aspects of their faith. This digital landscape allows for the democratization of knowledge, as individuals can access diverse perspectives and interpretations, fostering a more inclusive and dynamic understanding of Islam. However, the digital age also presents challenges, particularly in the realm of religious authority. The proliferation of online fatwas, religious rulings, and the presence of self-proclaimed scholars can lead to confusion and misinformation. Traditional religious authorities and institutions must navigate this new terrain, finding ways to assert their credibility and guide their communities in an era where information is readily accessible but not always reliable. Political dynamics significantly influence the contemporary Islamic world. The Arab Spring, a series of uprisings and protests that began in 2010, highlighted the demand for political reform, social justice, and greater freedoms in many Muslim-majority countries. While the outcomes of these movements have been varied, they underscored the aspirations of many Muslims for more inclusive and accountable governance. In some countries, such as Tunisia, the Arab Spring led to democratic transitions and the inclusion of Islamist parties in the political process. In others, such as Syria and Yemen, it resulted in prolonged conflict and instability. The question of political Islam, or the role of Islam in public life and governance, remains a contentious issue. Islamist movements and parties, such as the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, Ennahda in Tunisia, and the Justice and Development Party, AKP, in Turkey, seek to integrate Islamic principles into political systems. These movements have experienced varying degrees of success and acceptance, reflecting the diverse political landscapes of their respective countries. The challenge lies in balancing the desire for religiously informed governance with the principles of pluralism, democracy, and human rights. Extremism and terrorism perpetrated by groups such as ISIS, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, Al-Qaeda, and Boko Haram pose significant challenges for the global Muslim community. These groups claim to act in the name of Islam, but employ a distorted interpretation of its teachings to justify violence and atrocities. Their actions have not only caused immense suffering, but have also contributed to the stigmatization of Islam and Muslims worldwide. Countering extremism requires a multifaceted approach, including addressing socio-economic grievances, promoting inclusive and moderate interpretations of Islam, and enhancing cooperation between Muslim and non-Muslim communities. Women's rights and gender equality continue to be critical issues within the contemporary Islamic world. While Islamic teachings advocate for the dignity and rights of women, cultural practices and patriarchal norms often hinder women's full participation in society. Many Muslim-majority countries have made significant strides in advancing women's rights, implementing legal reforms, educational initiatives, and empowerment programs. However, challenges remain, particularly in areas such as access to education, employment, political representation, and personal freedoms. The global Muslim women's movement, encompassing activists, scholars, and organizations, plays a crucial role in advocating for gender justice within an Islamic framework. Initiatives such as Musawa, a global movement for equality and justice in the Muslim family, and the Women's Islamic Initiative in Spirituality and Equality, WISE, work to reinterpret religious texts, challenge discriminatory practices, and promote policies that uphold the rights and dignity of women. These efforts contribute to a more equitable and inclusive understanding of Islam, aligning with its core principles of justice and compassion. Interfaith dialogue and cooperation are essential in fostering mutual understanding and respect between Muslims and people of other faiths. In a world marked by religious diversity, building bridges across faith communities is crucial for peaceful coexistence and collaboration. Interfaith initiatives, such as the Parliament of the World's Religions, the United Religions Initiative, and local interfaith councils, provide platforms for dialogue, learning, and joint action on common concerns, such as social justice, environmental sustainability, and humanitarian aid. Environmental sustainability is an emerging area of concern for many Muslim communities. Islamic teachings emphasize the stewardship of the earth and the responsible use of its resources. This environmental ethic is gaining prominence as Muslims address contemporary challenges such as climate change, pollution, and resource depletion. Eco-Islamic movements and organizations, such as the Islamic Foundation for Ecology and Environmental Sciences, IFES, promote sustainable practices and raise awareness about the environmental dimensions of Islamic teachings. Human rights and social justice are integral to the contemporary Islamic discourse. Islamic teachings advocate for the protection of human dignity, the promotion of justice, and the alleviation of suffering. Muslim scholars and activists engage in discussions about how these principles can be applied to contemporary issues such as poverty, inequality, migration, and conflict. Efforts to promote social justice within Muslim communities and beyond reflect a commitment to the universal values of compassion, equity, and solidarity. The global Muslim diaspora, comprising diverse communities living in various parts of the world, adds to the rich tapestry of contemporary Islam. These communities navigate the complexities of maintaining their religious and cultural identities while integrating into their host societies. The experiences of the Muslim diaspora highlight the dynamic nature of Islam as it adapts to different cultural contexts and interacts with a wide range of social, political, and economic factors. In conclusion, Islam in the modern world is characterized by its diversity, resilience, and adaptability. Muslim communities across the globe engage with their faith in ways that reflect their unique contexts, addressing contemporary challenges while upholding the core principles of Islam. The ongoing efforts to promote understanding, justice, and compassion within and beyond the Muslim world contribute to a more inclusive and harmonious global society. As Muslims navigate the complexities of the modern era, their faith continues to inspire and guide them in the pursuit of a just, peaceful, and compassionate world.